Hey y'all, this is Tamara Rogers from Tamara Rogers Designs, and you should clearly see the beginning of the mug rug pattern, the mudcloth pattern. Do you see it? I hope you do, and I hope you're excited. So that means you're halfway there, and then the pattern is going to pretty much reverse. So if you've gotten this far, you can see the finish line. And so we're starting with row 10, so you should use your lighter color on the pattern. So whether you're doing the chart or the written instructions, calls for a border stitch, which is the single crochet, chain one and a single crochet at the beginning, and then I use a stitch marker. You know how I do it, but you do you. And so the pattern calls for now 18 single crochets across the top back loop of the lighter color. And so this is going to set the foundation for the second half of the pattern. I'll see you kind of at the end. I'm going to speed up because this is just a single crochet, and here we are at the end by recording magic. And you should be at the end of the 18 single crochets through the top back loop, and then you end with that border stitch. This is row 10 of the pattern. I took the stitch marker out, and the ending border stitch is the single crochet chain one. I know you're a pro at the border stitch by now. If you're reading the chart helps you know what color yarn to use. So don't follow the color that are in the boxes, follow the color that's at the beginning of the chart, and that's what you use throughout. The colors within the chart is showing you what it will look like once it's finished, so don't get confused with that. So you should have the lighter color, a solid row going across the top, and you should have 20 stitches. Now moving on to row 11, you will be using the darker color. And this is like at the beginning of the pattern, where it's very important to make sure that the foundation is set up right, or everything else will be kind of off. So join the darker color and the beginning border stitch. I know you could yell it loud and proud what that is now. Chain one, single crochet. You should be really proud. You should be seeing that finish line. Now the pattern is going to reverse, and so now you will do the series of double crochet, single crochet, alternating. There are going to be 4 of them. So look at that darker color below, and I'm going to take the stick so you can see. You're going to double crochet into that front loop. Double crochet, single crochet 4 times. Skip that top single crochet stitch, and then you single crochet at the top back loop. Now it's a little tricky, so make sure you count it off and make sure you're double crocheting into the correct loop of the darker color below. The cool thing about it is if you do make a mistake, you can always go back. That's why I like to double check and make sure. So this is your second set of double crochet and single crochets. I always use that stick when I'm doing that foundation row or something, just to make sure that I am crocheting in the correct spot. And remember, when you're single crocheting into your current row, you skip that row below. Not row, you skip that stitch. All right, perfect. So now we're double crocheting, single crocheting all the way until you get to 2 double crochets. So it should be a set of 4 double crochet, single crochets. Now this is a setup row, but the cool thing about it is you still count. So you should have a total of all those border stitch and then the 4 sets of double crochet, single crochet. And if you have the pattern correctly, you could see those double crochets have already been lined up below. So you do your 2 double crochets into the row below, front loops, skip those 2 single crochets up top, and then work into that next top back loop. And now you will do 7 single crochets of the darker color. This is row 11. And so the pattern reverses. And so this should start feeling comfortable to you. Row 11 finishes after you check that you have 7 single crochets, and then you can see the lower darker colored double crochet, and you double crochet into that front loop. And if you use the stitch marker or left a piece of yarn, you will end that border stitch into that stitch. So the border stitch at the end is single crochet and chain 1. You cut the yarn, pull the yarn through and tighten it. I like to add a stitch marker. Sometimes your yarn could be fussy, don't worry. Pull it into submission. This is one of the important parts. So at the beginning of the pattern, and this setup row is important because if you've done this correctly, everything else follows along. So that's why I'm taking time to kind of work through this. Now we are using the lighter color and doing row 12. So I'll at least do row 12 with you and make sure you're good to go. Then can't wait to see your progress photos and your finished project. So the border stitch, you know what it is. Chain 1 single crochet at the beginning. You're doing row 12, which is the lighter color, and you're doing the 4 sets of single crochet, double crochet, and look, you can see that lighter color down below. So you double crochet into that front loop, single crochet, double crochet for 4 sets. Now we're doing a single crochet and the double crochet. You can see the lighter color down below. That's the great thing about having a wonderful setup. You can tell with mosaic crochet if the design and color is working. It's like affirming you. Queen, you are halfway there. I want you to salute yourself if you are trying a mosaic pattern for the first time, or maybe you've done mosaic crochet before, but you've never done this particular design like a mudcloth. I want you to just be excited about your achievement. Now the pattern calls for 10 single crochets across the top loop. So you're going to do 2 single crochets into those top of those double crochets, and then the additional single crochets. And so what you're doing now are those single crochets through the top back loops, and you will finish out with the border stitch. Look at your pattern. It should look identical, just in your colors that you selected. Personalize it, make it yours. The ending border stitch is the single crochet, chain 1. Then you cut the end, pull the yarn through, and if you're using a stitch marker, you add it here. And whether you use a stitch marker or not, I always recommend counting your stitches, especially for a new design or pattern, and if you're setting up. So you should have 20 stitches each row, and now you're more than halfway there.